All right, a lot of you have asked me about cooking with bok choy, so I'm just going to do a segment right now on bok choy. And for those of you that don't know what bok choy looks like, I actually did a video on my Live with Laura account showing you it actually in our garden. So this is an example of me picking the bok choy and what it looks like. So if I take off a stem, just so you can kind of see what it looks like, it actually is a very tall leaf, and it has a stalk similar like how celery looks, the stalk. So I'm actually gonna clean it, and I wanted to also show you, I have this strainer that I can fold flat, and then if I push it, it opens, and then it has handles so I can put it across my sink and clean my vegetables at the same time. And it also is a great space saver. So many of my peeps that have freedom lifestyle with their RVs this summer, this is a great space saver too. So as I'm rinsing this, I just wanted to share with you a little bit more about bok choy. It's in the cabbage family and the mustard family. So those are the two. It's considered can ever say this word, crudiferous vegetables. So think of cabbage is that, broccoli is that. So these are great cancer fighters. There's so many beneficial nutrients in bok choy. I'll be sure to post in the comments a lot of the beneficial properties of bok choy, so you'll be able to see that. And I'm just taking the leaves off these are, think of like broccoli, or like where the stalk is a little too thick. But you can actually, I don't know if any of you have ever made broccoli slaw. You can actually use these stalks and make like a kimchi, a Korean kimchi. So more of like a coleslaw, if you will, with the stalk, and just shred it. But I'm just using the leaves tonight, and I'm going to be putting them in my stir fry. So yeah, these are really fun, and a lot of folks have never had bok choy, so it's a really great leaf. So this is kind of more or less average size, but again, in my organic garden, it's pretty big leaves and a pretty big stalk. So there's that. And then I also did some research regarding when they flower. So apparently when they flower, in our case, we've had a lot of rain here, so they ended up flowering real quick. So they're still tender, but if you let them flower, the leaves become too hard and they're really not as tasty. So make sure to cut them before they flower, or cut them right away post flowering. In our case, it was right overnight. So the leaves are very succulent, and the flowers are so pretty. So I'm very into seeing how a plant flowers, so even they're not supposed to, for gardening purposes. So yeah, so now that I have all these done, I'm just going to rinse them, and then we'll actually stir fry them. So yeah, so I just want to move us over to the sink while, let's see if I can do this multitask here and just rinse and talk at the same time. Let's see. Oops, there you go. So it's an organic garden, so there's no pesticides, no herbicides. We actually grew the bok choy from seed, so I know that the seed is not genetically modified, so that's really important to me and my family. So just something else to keep in mind when you're buying plants or buying seeds. So that's something else that I wanted to make sure I mentioned. The other thing I looked up about the flour is if you did decide to use the flour and eating it, they say it has a mustard-like taste. So I don't know if anybody else is on can mention that. If you've ever tasted the bok choy flour, let me know. They said it had like a black pepper and mustard kind of taste, is what they said. So I'm curious if any of you have ever tried the bok choy flour. when it flowers. So just similar like how celery is, right? You've got that celery stalk, and that's the texture here. So for speed of this video, and so I'm not boring you with me cleaning and chopping, I'm going to move over to the chopping board and just cutting up some of them for stir fry. And I would love to hear if you've ever cooked it different ways, because many of my listeners have wanted to know, what else can you do? How else can you cook the bok choy? What other recipes are there for bok choy? So I know that when I was looking up different ways to eat bok choy, one of the ones was adding like ginger and garlic were two of the other things to add to bok choy. So I'm curious to hear what other people have tried. So definitely let me know, leave a comment. Another person said something about sesame seeds and honey was another recipe that somebody mentioned. So all I'm doing is just cutting off the very end, but literally I can eat the entire thing from leaf to the actual stalk. And some folks just like to use it and literally will wrap things with it. So like they'll leave the wrap and they'll just blanch it real quick and then just roll it. So think of like a burrito. So they'll like steam the leaves and then roll it. So something else to think about. I decided I'm just going to make a regular stir fry with this tonight and chop it up. So I'd love to hear how you guys use your bok choy and how you cook with it or how you eat it. Some folks have told me they've eaten it raw, but I've never tried it raw yet. I think I'm going to try one of the baby leaves, the smaller leaves. So I'm just going to use a water bath. So many of you have asked me when we're cooking and we're doing our transformational challenge, you know, how do you cook without oil or how do you cook without other things? I just put water in there and I'll heat it up a little bit and just make a water bath, or I'll put vegetables in, like, so I'll do a vegetable broth and I'll put that in, and then I'll just kind of saute it that way. And just helps with less of the unnecessary fats, especially when you're trying to, you know, lose some weight. Sometimes you don't need those extra calories. So I think I'd rather eat my calories than having them in the form of oil or butter, but everybody has their own personal preference. So yeah, so this is an example of, I would say it's kind of the size of my hand, right, versus look at how much larger this one is. So this one is like the length of my arm. So depending upon what you're picking on your leaves, you'll see the difference. So I'm just gonna saute them in the water bath. Just to make them a little bit easier when we're eating them, but it's like, it reminds me of like spinach, how when you start cooking it, it kind of reduces down and there's not much to it. You don't have to over fuss with it. It pretty much sautés very quickly. You can even just rip it with your fingers if you want. But yeah, I would love to hear other people's recipes. By no means am I a bok choy expert. And actually I had my mom try bok choy the other day. I had her pick it from our garden and she absolutely loved it. She didn't know what it tasted like and she really loves it. Ah, yeah. I have a few folks on the recording here that are very familiar with bok choy. So definitely telling me how you cook your bok choy or how you serve it. If there's anything particular you do. Even the kimchi, I would love to hear more about pickling, right? So pickling it or turning it into like a coleslaw. Love to hear how everybody uses it. And I know several folks on here are very familiar with bok choy. So I love culture, I love cuisines, I love hearing how other people in other cultures cook and try different things. Now I'm just cutting up the stock. Again, it reminds me of celery from the texture. And I'm just going to add that to the stir fry as well. And I think it all depends upon what you're going to be eating it with, right? So do you want it savory? Do you want it sweet? So garlic, I would think, ginger, honey, sesame seeds. Those are a couple of other additional things that people have said that they've used. So yeah, I would love for people to leave some comments and let me know even different recipes that you've used. And the other way is you can reduce the temperature and then cover it for a few seconds. You see how it renders down. It doesn't take much to actually cook with it. Let's see. Growing up, my mom would stew the bok choy with chicken or beef. Since I'm off meat for a while now, I cut it up and saute with onions, tomatoes, ginger, in some coconut oil. Very cool. Thank you for sharing. So yeah, so there's all sorts of cool ways to cook with this particular vegetable. I just want to read real quick too, because so many folks say to me, well, what's the benefit of bok choy? You know, why should I eat bok choy? So I just want to share with you some studies. So studies have shown that that bok choy is high enough in the veggie category to help with macular degeneration. So for the eyes, bok choy actually contains an entire RDA of beta carotene, which shows to prevent night blindness and also possibly reduces the risk of cardiac cataracts and macular degeneration. So pretty epic, right? So if we were talking about that. They also talked about the fact that there's been many studies that have showed that if we have a higher intake, it'll actually help with prostate cancer, ovarian cancer. Also, studies show that this is a better form of calcium. So from collards and bok choy. They also said that the studies have shown the dark leafy green vegetables such as bok choy may improve breast cancer survivors. Studies have shown that nearly 5,000 Chinese breast cancer survivors revealed a 62% decrease in the risk of dying from the disease when they consume more cruciferous vegetables. So cruciferous vegetables, folks, are things like bok choy, broccoli, and cabbage, and cauliflower. Those are those. So another one, pretty cool, right, is from helping folks when we're dealing with some of these extreme health challenges. So prevention is also very helpful. So if we were to have this part of our staple in our own diet, our Asian folks are more likely to have this in their meals. It's also been used traditionally in Chinese medicine. So let's see here. I want to look at the other. Oh, here we go. Contains a wealth of vitamin C, A, and K, calcium, magnesium, potassium, manganese, iron, and it's been a powerhouse vegetable. So vitamin A is also essential for our immune system, while vitamin C is an antioxidant that shields the body from free radicals. So bok choy also supplies potassium for healthy muscles and nerve function. It also has vitamin B6 for carbohydrates, fat, and protein metabolism. So many of you folks that have kids that are thinking that, you know, I need more protein, I need more meat, give them bok choy. This is a great source for them, right? Post-workout. So this would even be a great post-workout. So, never knew the benefits of bok choy. You're welcome. I'm going to try to do these more often so that we really can discover some of the hidden secrets of some of these beautiful vegetables and herbs that we have. Mother Nature is pretty amazing when it comes to what we have available to us that sometimes we're not even aware of. Here, and then the other comment was that sauteing with onions, tomatoes, ginger, and in coconut oil. Okay, there we go. Yeah, couldn't see the rest of the comment. So yeah, I hope that this helped you. If this is something that you'd like me to do more often, where I'll actually cook a cooking segment, kind of like my Lunch and Learns, but more from a cooking perspective and things that will help you with your meal prep or thinking about what to pick so this summer, because we are going to have so many more fruits and vegetables and herbs available to us that it would be nice to include. So now that I reduced it down, I'm just waiting for my son to get home from work, and I'll finish it probably with, I'm going to do savory tonight, so I'm going to do garlic. I'm going to saute some garlic, fold in some onions, and also fold in some mushrooms. So those are very highly in beneficial properties, and I'm also trying to help my son boost his immune system as well as my own. So really teaching us all better ways to eat and better ways to boost our immune system. So I hope this helps you guys. Have a great evening and enjoy your dinner.